Never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Emmet Kennedy.
You are welcome to a Final Furlong podcast, Breeders' Cup special. We had a lot of fun with this show last year, so we're going to expand it out. Once again, we have got the host and founder of the American version of the Final Furlong podcast, the Essential American Horse Racing Podcast, the HHH Racing Podcast. It's our great friend Howard Kravetz. I was on his show on Friday. I'm delighted to have Howard back with us. And two of his regular contributors, two of the brightest young minds in horse racing who have made us a disgustingly large amount of money this year by cracking trifectas and pick fives and multiple big price winners in the undercards for the Preakness and the Belmont. I'm delighted to say that we got Ryan Anderson from the Gallop Out and from the HHH Racing Podcast, and Charlie Freeman from the HHH Racing Podcast, both back with us as well. Irish-American trainer Tim Shaw will join us in a little bit. Boys, it's great to have you all back on the show. Thank you very much for joining us as the countdown continues to the Breeders' Cup. Howard, what is the single biggest betting edge at Del Mar that UK and Irish punters can try and take advantage of that we might not see if we're just watching the TV coverage?
Well, thanks for having us on, Emmett. Really appreciate it. We're extremely excited about the Breeders' Cup coming up here, with the draw actually happening about 2 hours from us filming right now. I think Bob Baffert's going to take a lot of money that is unwarranted. How about that? We all know Bob Baffert is one of the best dirt trainers in the history of our game. There's no doubt about it. He's like Aidan O'Brien, right? Except the dirt version. The problem, Emmett, at least in my humble opinion, and I'm sure Ryan and Charlie would like to chime in, is he's often his horses are often underlays or overbet, and that's going to happen again this weekend. I think there's a very strong possibility he does not win a race on Friday, the Fall Star or Future Stars Friday for the 2-year-olds. He probably will win one race on Saturday. That might be it. I mean, he could win a few. I just think he's going to be overbet, and he's not the end-all be-all in this year's Breeders' Cup, which is surprising to say, especially because it's in beautiful Del Mar Racecourse in San Diego.
Well, that's very intriguing, because on this side of the pond, he's going to have the first and second favourite for the juvenile fillies off the top of my head. And we get to talk about Charlie's favourite horse, Citizen Bull, in the Dirt Mile a little bit later on. Shout out Citizen Bull. You might want to cover your ears when Charlie gets stuck into that race a little bit later. Ryan, let's talk briefly about the draw. So for the range of distances on both turf and dirt, where do you want to be drawn ideally at Del Mar?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, a variety of distances. And thanks for having us on here. This is going to be a lot of fun. I would say the race that matters the least for post position is the Breeders' Cup Classic. You have the entire length of the stretch. I don't even take post into consideration. David Aragona, who makes the morning lines, he has those that are going to be released as the draw is done. And they have given him the time to adjust every other race for the morning lines, because they are going to be affected, judging based on where you go. I would say the race that it matters the most is going to be the turf sprints. Those are run at 5 furlongs. Saving ground is of paramount importance at Del Mar. I would say that's kind of the number one that you want to watch in terms of post position and where it matters. I would say second on that list would be the Breeders' Cup Sprint, going 6 furlongs on dirt. It is very, very tough to win from the inside post positions going the 6 furlongs. Filly and Mare Sprint, it matters less. That's going 7 furlongs, and everything kind of plays out in a little more fair way. But Breeders' Cup Sprint is the second most important. Most important is the turf sprint, because of that 5 furlong distance and how sharp those turns are. And
great answer. And similar question for you, Charlie. Pace and positioning, just how crucial is that at the Breeders' Cup? Like the Classic, do you need to be off the pace, or with the way the pace scenario is setting up this year, do you very much want to be on it?
Yeah, I think it always just depends on who you sort of see in the field. I think this year's Classic is really interesting. Doesn't seem to have nearly the same pace as last year's. I think last year's kind of clearly showed you that when you sort of naturally in those bigger fields with higher stakes expect there to naturally be some faster pace. But when it becomes, to the point where it's just, to the destruction of those on the front, you want to be a lot further off. But in a race like this where you don't see that kind of pace, I think the best spot you can sort of be is just in that sort of stalking trip, somewhere within, I'd say 3 to 6 lengths, so you don't leave yourself with too much to do late, especially because, the stretch in California isn't particularly the longest stretch. It certainly gives you enough time to get there as a closer, specifically in the Classic, as we saw with Sierra Leone. But I think the other thing that's important to understand is if you are going to be off the pace, it's critical that you have a jockey that understands from the pace when to move. I think Flavien Prat gave a masterclass on understanding when to move, because Sierra Leone on the turn was, in 3rd, 4th place to get up there and get there in time. And he's got one of the strongest closing kicks you've seen. So I feel like that alone sort of gives you the idea that if you are going to be a dead closer, it's going to be really tough to expect yourself to get more than a piece in a race, at least specifically like the Classic. And with the pace this year, you probably want to be more stalking.
If I could just chime in real quick for all you Euro punters that are going to be playing Del Mar, we had a fantastic show on our podcast, which talked about Del Mar track profiles. Ryan Anderson was on the show, was hosted by our Pacific Horse Player guys. I highly recommend, Emmett, your fans go to our YouTube channel, HHH Racing Podcast, and find the Del Mar track profile show that we had for the Breeders' Cup. It's absolute gold, especially if you're not familiar with Del Mar Racecourse.
Excellent. We're going to do that. Ryan?
Oh, Ryan, you're muted.
One more thing to tag on to that. Yes, obviously, got to check out the track trends as we go over it. It's the 3 West Coast, Southern California boys that, pay attention to that the most. For those that care about the length of the stretch, the turf course, 817 feet, so 817 from the top of the stretch to the finishing wire. And on the dirt, it is 919 feet. So those are your measurements to kind of get that into your calculations as you make your picks.
Very short.
Yeah, is that stretch run going to be enough for Sovereignty? It was enough for Sierra Leone last year, but that's the race we're going to start with. Is the big one, the Breeders' Cup Classic, 10:25. The times that we're going to put up on screen on YouTube. If you're listening to this on podcast audio, it's not going to matter to you. And thank you very much for listening to us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, all the other good podcast apps. Which reminds me, smash a like on this video, please. You did that for us with the Aidan O'Brien special. It's a huge help to us with the algorithm. And hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode of the Final Furlong Podcast, and you can hear more great insight from the top team of contributors that the Final Furlong Podcast has for you. Smash subscribe, smash the like button. It's a big help to us with the algorithm. The $7 million Breeders' Cup Classic, the feature race. It used to be the final race, not anymore. They've gone very European with their styling now. 1.25 miles. This year is a stacked field. It is ridiculous. The 1, 2, 3 from last year are back, including, of course, the reigning champion, Sierra Leone. His prep run was interesting, to say the least. And then you've got the new kid on the block, the superstar 3-year-old Sovereignty, arguably the best 3-year-old in the world. We've been saying this for quite a while. He's the first horse to win the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont Stakes, the Jim Dandy, and the Travers all in the same season. Although there is a caveat there. If you're going to run in all those races, why didn't you go for the Triple Crown? But that's a whole different debate. We've got the horse that set the highest speed figure in this race. You've got Mindframe. We've got Journalism, of course, a Triple Crown winner in himself by taking the Preakness, and Baeza, who's finally starting to put it all together. First question for you, Howard. Just how good is Sovereignty, and does he deserve to be 3-2 your side, 6-4 this side?
I don't think anyone in this race should be 3-2. This is an absolutely loaded field. Not only the top 3 from last year, Emmett, how about the top 3 from our Kentucky Derby? So we have 3 of the top 3 finishers in one of the most famous races in the world are also here. So I would say in a normal year, I'd say Sovereignty price should be 6-5, 7-5. This is an absolutely stacked field. Is he the horse to beat? I think so. I think, if I were to bet him on the win end, I wouldn't bet him anything lower than 5-2. And I don't think you're getting 2.5 on this horse based on all the metrics that I've seen. He's very good. They've done nothing wrong with him. Hats off to Bill Mott and Godolphin and Junior Alvarado, who's been on our podcast several times. There's very few things you can knock about this horse. We talked before we came on air that he's began to show tactical speed. He used to be they used to hold him up and he used to come from very far back. Now he's showing tactical speed. He completely freaked in the Travers. But I'll tell you what, this is a very good field. And the one thing about this race, whether the rabbit gets in or not, there's not a lot of early speed in this race. So I don't know if you're asking for top picks right away or just your thoughts on Sovereignty. But no, he should not be 3-2 in my humble opinion in this race. Absolutely not.
Okay, so 3-2 morning line your side, 6-4 is the same price here. You can get 7-4. Same price for you, Ryan. Same question for you, Ryan. I should be saying, are you with or against Sovereignty?
We spoke on our show, and I seemed pretty against him. And I agree with Howard that no horse in this field. It's going to be a field of 10, assuming contrary thinking gets into the race, and 9 of those runners outside of contrary thinking have all won grade 1s. And a handful of those have won multiple. I mean, this is a stacked field top to bottom. So no horse should be 3-2, but man, does Sovereignty look good. And he looks like a grown adult. He looks like a 4-year-old. He doesn't look like a 3-year-old. Not that he ever really did this season outside of Really, after the Belmont Stakes, he really did a lot of growing up, and I've seen him every morning over the past 4 or 5 mornings at Del Mar, and my goodness, that is a $1 billion worth of horse flesh right there. So I can't endorse 3-2, but it is going to be really tough to beat him.
You are on track, so you're getting to see the morning workouts. And I know journalism was the real star of the show there for the first few days, but poor old journalism was out to try and steal the headlines again, and he just got completely obliterated by Sovereignty. Like, he really does look majestic.
Yeah, he does. Now, journalism, very pretty mover in the morning. He moves just so fluid and elegant. And then there's Sovereignty, who moves in the same way, but with about 50% more muscle, it looks like. He is just a tank of a horse. I mean, he runs... there's probably not going to be many people that understand this reference, but Isaiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs runs like he is angry at the ground. That's how Sovereignty runs. He wants to be able to go full go, and he's waiting till those gates open on Saturday. He looks incredible.
We are fully Americanized on this episode of the Final Furlong podcast now. We're getting U.S. sports references left, right, and center. Charlie, Sovereignty, for or against?
Oh, completely for. I mean, I agree with everything that everyone here has said. I mean, for me, if I was betting the horse straight up vertically, I wouldn't want to take less than 2-1 on any horse in this race. But, we were talking about this before the show. As someone who had picked, I picked this horse on his debut and was wrong, but he closed like a truck on that day, and I saw what he could be and just kept rapidly getting better. A horse that, no one I drafted first in our fantasy draft and that I picked to win the Derby because I saw what he could be. And, at the time, journalism had him put a step wrong. And a lot of people were wondering, why on earth would anybody beat journalism? And I said at the time, because I thought Sovereignty was a superstar. And, like we talked about before we went on air, my perspective on him has changed, but not for worse. I still think, journalism is a superstar. I think the problem is a superstar can't beat a generational talent. And that's what I'm convinced Sovereignty is. Everything he does just keeps proving me more and more that my initial belief that that's what he could be or that's what he has shown signs of is no longer that bias just because I like him or I've backed him. But I think, as Ryan has pointed out with what he's seen in the mornings, it's hard to look at an animal who moves that way and not say he's just different. And I think that's what makes it so difficult and inconceivable when you look at, like we talked about how 9 of these horses have won grade ones. When you see all the stats and accolades that all these horses have done, you're saying, how on earth could you justify a fellow horse being 3-2? But it's because Sovereignty, he's not even a horse. Like, he's just such a generational animal and talent and like a different being. He doesn't feel like it's another horse against the rest of them. But I think he's going against some of the best that we have to offer. He's just that good. And I think what's really scary is what we've seen in his last 2 efforts. Because if he can stalk, if he continues to show this tactical speed where he's close enough, it's game over. Like I would say, he's going to be looking back, drinking a coffee, looking at the rest of the field if he continues to progress this way.
There is a rule in betting. You're never supposed to take a short price bet a horse who has to do something for the first time. And Sierra Leone is going to have to take on older horses for the first time. And he's heading out to Del Mar as well, which is another thing. So that's something to bear in mind. The big gun against him, and the horse that I've been of the opinion of, well, this is the scumbag each way bet. You guys do win place show. Here it's each way betting. In a race like this, a Group 1 is going to be 1, 2, 3. There's no way Sierra Leone's out of the first 3. Surely, as long as everything goes all right. And then I'm watching that gallop this morning, and you're going back through Racing Post ratings and time form, which we'll talk more about a little bit later on. There's also a statistic for Sierra Leone. He is not the first horse to try and attempt to go back-to-back in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He will be the 6th, and only one has done it. Cat Thief in 2000 finished 4th. Somehow Zenyatta got beaten. Even watching that back this morning, was like, how? Arrogate, 5th in 2017. Curlin, all failed. He was 4th in 2008. But Tisnow did do it. He went 1 in 2000, wins in 2001. Is Sierra Leone the next Tisnow? Is he going to be able to do it, Howard?
Beat one of your horses, Saki, the ARC winner, Tisnow.
Worse, he beat Giants Causeway, which was even worse. But yeah, that defeat to Saki was pretty.
That too, 2001.
Too.
That was actually the 9/11 year, which was one of the most emotional races in the history of American racing.
And Tisnow wins it for America.
I mean, it was a great call by Tom Durkin. Sorry for you guys, but look, I have a soft spot in my heart for Sierra Leone. Anyone who follows our show knows that. I actually did not pick him last year. I picked Forever Young, who actually ran a blinder for 3rd. I do not like Forever Young as much this year. I think because of the pace situation, I think Sierra Leone's a little bit up against it to win. I agree. If you want to make an each way bet, I think he's probably the horse along with Sovereignty that is most likely to finish in the money. I got to tell you, you and your viewers, I'm a little bit against Sierra Leone this year just because it is such a difficult race and he's not going to get the pace set up. Now, your viewers and especially American punters are going to say, wait a minute, Howard, what about the Rabbit? The Rabbit, if he's in the race, to me is complete non-factor and inconsequential because Fierceness is not going to go heads up, or Nevada Beach. They're not going to go heads up with this Rabbit. The whole Rabbit nonsense will have zero effect on the race, in my humble opinion. And I think when it matters most, Sierra Leone's going to have a lot to do in the stretch. Now, I know what Ryan will say, well, Pratt knows how to ride Sierra Leone at Del Mar, and he wasn't, he took the lead on the far turn. Yeah, but he took the lead on the far turn when they went into a blazing pace, and Sierra Leone was able to close in that blazing pace. That blazing pace is not going to happen this year. Sierra Leone is a great horse. He's fully capable of winning on Saturday. He just won't have my money on the win end.
Contrary Thinking is the horse you're talking about, being the pacemaker. So 68 lengths behind Sierra Leone in Saratoga, and then beaten 13 lengths in that insane Jockey Club Gold Cup where, we literally lost Irado Chase Jr. I don't think, Ryan, you and I were talking about this the other night. That was not a pleasant race to watch at all. I almost feel like Flavien Prat was going to pull him up. But that then gives you a little bit of context into that defeat of Sierra Leone. Like, there is a little bit of context that comes from there. But on this side of the pond, we're constantly talking about the role of pacemakers and whether they have a positive or negative effect. And look, you do want a truly run race. But this fella's not good enough to tow them along, surely, Ryan.
Look, no one is going to hook up with Contrary Thinking in this race. I don't think that's there's no need the lead types in here. Fierceness has proven that he can win from off the pace. Nevada Beach is just, he's not dumb enough to go with this Rabbit early. I think the jockeys in the U.S. are smart enough to ignore that horse, knowing he has absolutely zero chance. If there is $5 bet on this horse, that's too much money because that horse has no shot to finish anywhere in the top, it's a 10-horse race, in the top 9. So I will say, if regardless of the rest of the field, if they go, he has 46-second speed to the half, and he can maybe get 3/4 over the Del Mar track in 1:11. That's still, those fractions are fast enough for Sierra Leone to close into. I'm not saying that's going to set him up for a win because he's not getting the pace he got last year. But if he's going to be able to stretch the field out a little bit more, he might put a few others in positions where maybe they're not the most comfortable. And not to say they're uncomfortable or anything like that, but they could put, horses in, chase mode. While Sierra Leone's going to be sitting back there, going to be very comfortable because his race doesn't start until the 4 furlong pole. So he's going to have to do a lot more work to close into that pace. But if they go 46 to the half or they go 110, probably 111. I don't think 110 is anything Contrary Thinking has in his arsenal. I think Sierra Leone still gets probably second. I could see him winning. And I think it's more important to mention that the value is going to be there on Sierra Leone, who won this race last year at 9-2. And there's a big chance that he goes off above 9-2 in this year's Classic. And he's done very little wrong.
Charlie, is Sierra Leone the big danger to the favorite Sovereignty?
I with the setup, look, my heart wants me to say yes, but to be honest, I don't think so. I feel like this is kind of like the Sierra Leone is like the perfect Charlie Freeman before I truly understood handicapping horse, where he loves to close and he loves to give you that excitement. And I'm always the one who'd rather have that horse that's flying late and trying his heart out than the, speedy horse who you're just begging to hang on. I've never liked that kind of horse. But I just think with how far back, if this was Sovereignty that we saw in the Derby or beforehand, where he kind of reminded you of a more disciplined Sierra Leone, I would say yes. But now that Sovereignty has developed that stalking ability, I feel like the only way to really beat Sovereignty in this race, assuming obviously no technical issues happen, is you got to be ahead of him and just hope you somehow hold him off like journalism tried. And to me, that horse, I'm having Sovereignty on top. To me, the biggest threat, just from what I've seen them at their absolute best to execute, would either have to be Fierceness or Forever Young. And for me, I've always been anti-Fierceness. So for me, Forever Young is the horse I'd be keen in on if you're trying to take out Sovereignty. I think with the way this setup is turning out, and just the fact that Forever Young doesn't run a bad race, and he is the definite, to me, he's the most game horse in the field. He will run against anyone, anytime, anywhere, and he fits everywhere, no matter how the rep of Japanese horses is and proves it. So to me, he's the biggest threat to Sovereignty with the way this race is panning out.
Well, there's quite a few people who agree with you on social media as well. I've been keen to take on Forever Young, but very much respect your opinion. And the more I hear people raving about him, the more I'm starting to think I might have had this wrong. I'm delighted to say that we've got Irish-American trainer Tim Shaw with us as well, fresh from a trip to Listowel. You're very welcome back to the show, Tim. So we're in the middle of talking about the current setup for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Just your own thoughts on Sovereignty before we click on to the big rivals and who you think is the main threat to him.
Hey guys, nice to see you guys. Big fans of everyone. I think Sovereignty is going to be tough to beat. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's danced every dance. I think he's shown that most of the year he was better than journalism. He's done nothing wrong. Big buyer speed figure from his last race, I think 115. I don't see any chinks in his armor. If you look at some of the Breeders' Cup preview shows we have here, he looks fantastic. He's in good flesh, and I have a lot of respect for Belmont. So I'm kind of on board with the Fierceness train. And like you just said, Forever Young rarely runs a bad race. You have to have him in there. And I don't trust Fierceness either. And I'm not a big fan of Mindframe. So I can't see how it doesn't really wind up being some combination of Sovereignty, Forever Young, and maybe journalism matures through the late summer and early fall here. We haven't seen him since the Pacific Classic when he got beat by Fierceness, but this is his home track. He's not traveling, and he could develop. He needs to come forward to compete with Sovereignty, I believe, and Forever Young. But on their day, these 3-year-olds can go forward any time of the year, and one of these days it'll be journalism's day. But I think it's very tough to get past Sovereignty and Forever Young right now.
And just very briefly on journalism, Ryan, what is the thinking behind the jockey change, and do you agree with it?
I'm not sure what the thinking is, but I can say that it's at least a little bit intriguing. Jose Ortiz is certainly a more aggressive jockey than Umberto Rispoli. And again, I know nothing. I haven't spoken with any of the Clips or Michael McCarthy or Umberto or anybody, but I could see how maybe after that ride in the Pacific Classic where Umberto watched Fierceness make a move and did not move an inch on journalism, I could see how maybe that would, create the emotions necessary for a change in jockey. And ultimately, that at least would be my reasoning behind it. I think that we should anticipate seeing journalism closer to the pace, maybe in the same area where like a Forever Young or a Sovereignty might be, because one, you can't let Sovereignty outkick journalism. We've seen how that works. If Sovereignty gets the jump, journalism's not catching him. You got to just hope that if journalism gets the jump on Sovereignty, journalism doesn't get run down by him again for, I believe, what would be the third time in as many tries. So it's tough. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't type scenario. But I think the reason for the jockey change is for a more aggressive positioning earlier on in the race.
Yeah, I thought that was just bizarre race tactics that day. Maybe he just didn't fire for whatever reason, but it was just, he may have been the last leg of an accumulator, and maybe it was just very, very solid. Maybe I was doing a Charlie Freeman style rant at Umberto from my living room. Okay, let's get your 1, 2, 3 for the Breeders' Cup Classic 2025. Howard Kravetz, your 1, 2, 3.
I've been completely against Fierceness almost his entire career. I just have a feeling he's going to run his race of a lifetime. I'm going to pick him on top mainly because of the price, not necessarily because I truly think he's the best horse in the race, but I'm going to put him on top. I think he's going to get the jump on everyone else, and I'll take my chance with him at 3 to 4 times the price of Sovereignty. I have Sovereignty in second, and who I have in third is going to surprise a lot of people. I've been a huge fan, gentlemen, of another Pletcher runner for a long time, and that is a horse named Antiquarian, who is a big price. He's a progressive 4-year-old, Emmet, who reminds me a lot of a horse named Amalok, who I think everyone there in your neck of the woods. He's an improving type. He's going to be a big price. He just ran the best race of his career last time against Sierra Leone. I know that was the troubled jockey club. I understand that. But for you each way players in Europe and you experienced punters, I think Antiquarian in each way play and underneath in your trifectas and supers is an absolutely fascinating entrant. And if he shocks the world and wins or comes in second, I would not be surprised. So I will go Fierceness over Sovereignty over Antiquarian. I don't believe in Forever Young this year. And I love Sierra Leone. I'm just going to take him out of the top 3 just because of price situation.
This is what I love about Howard Kravetz. You can never guess which way he's going to go. There's no way I thought he was going to go with Fierceness. Absolutely no way. And Antiquarian from the clouds, the horse that nobody was talking about. Everybody was concerned with Mindframe and his unseat. Sierra Leone not getting a perfect trip, almost being pulled up probably by Flavien Prat. I'm never going to criticize the 20-1 shot. I love that. Okay, follow that.
Antiquarian's improving on it. He's been goofy his entire career. I've bet him several times. He's an improving 4-year-old. Todd knows what he's doing. Do not underestimate this horse. He has a big shot to get in the money. I really believe that.
Coming into this on the back of a career best effort as well. Ryan, you're 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, this might surprise you a little bit too, based on what we talked about the other day on our show, Emmett. In first, and a lot of this is based off of one, price, because this game is all about finding value, and then 2, kind of what I've seen in the mornings, because I think that does go a long way. And yes, all these horses are going to look like A+ animals because they are all A+ animals. But when you see standouts, you have to acknowledge that as well. And as much of a standout Sovereignty has been, I've also seen how 4-year-olds have done this year against 3-year-olds. I think it's Forever Young's year. He's been knocking at the door forever. I am taking Forever Young to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. You're certainly going to get a price. This is another horse that has never been out of the trifecta. 9 wins from 12 starts, 3 seconds. So I'm going to take Forever Young in first. Sovereignty is going to be the second choice for me, and Sierra Leone in third. That horse has never missed a try. He's the picture of consistency. So maybe it's a little bit chalky all in all, but you're still going to get a price, probably around maybe 8-1 on Forever Young. I'm really, really curious how this race is going to be bet with, outside of Sovereignty, we know he's the favorite. I'm really curious which one of these other fantastic 4-year-olds that finished top 3 last year take the most amount of money. So Forever Young, Sovereignty, and Sierra Leone for me.
You're getting 10s on Forever Young right now, Emmett, in the as we're filming in the anti-post betting. Yeah,
you can get there's a number of firms are going 9s, but you can get 10-1 if you act fast. Something Ryan Anderson must have seen some shit over the last few days, because that was a very different conversation to Friday night. Charlie Freeman, you're 1, 2, 3 for the Classic.
Yeah, this is tough. I didn't want to go chalky, but to me, there's 3 horses who at their absolute best run a special way in Sovereignty, Sierra Leone, and Fierceness. But Fierceness is like, the rich spoiled kid, where as long as mommy and daddy make it the way they like it, they're happy. And when it's not, he's terrible. Sierra Leone's awesome, but he's going to be in a different state until the end of the race and has to get there. And Sovereignty's a generational talent who doesn't have to worry about everything his way, either being too fast or too slow. I'm going with the generational talent. Again, I don't like the odds vertically, but I'm going to single them horizontally, and I'm going to play exactas with them. I'm going Sovereignty on top. You just asked me about this, Emmett, for who I think is the biggest threat. And as we like to say in the youthful ways, Ryan Anderson knows ball. In second place, I'm putting Forever Young. That is the horse who scares me the most to beat Sovereignty. And then in third, like Ryan said, even if there isn't set up, Sierra Leone's just too talented of a horse to not hit the top 3. So I'm going Sovereignty over Forever Young over Sierra Leone.
Okay. And Tim, you're 1, 2, 3.
Well, I'm also going to be pretty chalky. Like I said, I have so much respect for Sovereignty. So I'm going to put Sovereignty on top, Forever Young, Sierra Leone. The Antiquarian argument is real, though. That is an improving horse. Johnny Velazquez is riding out of his mind. I would believe he's going to ride Antiquarian. That race in the Jockey Club was sensational, no matter what happened. And he could be the now horse as well. So I can't disagree with Antiquarian running along for third or fourth, but I'm just going to have to go Sovereignty with Forever Young and Sierra Leone.
Okay.
Can I ask Tim how he feels that Forever Young has been campaigned this year? I know they were pointing to the Breeders' Cup, but I know obviously in Asia they run more over the winter than they do over the summer there because it's very hot, etc. But I just can't get myself to wonder, Tim, about the campaign that they've laid out for Forever Young this year.
Well, the campaign, the Saudi Cup, you go chasing money there in February and then April. in the World Cup. And I just think after the World Cup, it just seemed that, you know, they were owed something in the Kentucky Derby. You know, when he ran in the Derby, he finished third. Then he finished third in the Classic. I think the Japanese have a chip on their shoulder. They want one of these races. They want an American Classic, or they want a Breeders' Cup Classic. And I think it just seems to me, I mean, I don't know firsthand, but you know, the Dubai World Cup was kind of an end point in April, and then I think they have something that they want to prove. So that race in October, that I think that was just a prep to get back here.
Yeah.
You know, I think for as well as Forever Young has run, you know, his 109 speed figure in the Classic last year, third behind, you know, Sierra Leone, he still has to find something, but he is 9 for 12 and he does show up on the day. And I just think that, I just think after the World Cup, this just seems to be a target that they had set. And he always shows up.
If I could, Tim, if I agree with a lot of what you said. If I could add one more point, and Forever Young, last year, everyone talks about the race Fierceness ran in defeat last year in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and rightfully so. To be that close up to a flaming hot pace that absolutely disintegrated is really impressive. But Forever Young should probably get some recognition for that too. He was fourth in that race. And, you know, the first place finisher, Sierra, came from 11th. Fourth place came from 7th. And then 12th place, 14th place, 8th place. The pace completely melted down and fell apart. And to the point on how Forever Young has been campaigned, it is a little backwards to what we how we race here, because we have the winters off and we race a lot during the summer. That's, you know, our biggest month is spring through fall. And I will say Yoshida Yahagi, the trainer of Forever Young and the trainer of many Japanese imports, he is 8 for 8 with runners either in Maidan or in North America. 8 for 8 in the money. Probably should have clarified. 8 for 8 in the money from his runners. He's had a lot of success doing this, and they are this close to getting that Classic victory. So I do think Forever Young is sitting on the right one.
I mean, if you look what happened last year, right after the Kentucky Derby, they shut him down, right? And they gave him one race before the Breeders' Cup Classic. So this just seems to be part of what their program is and part of what their angle is. I think he still needs to find 2 or 3 lengths to win this race, but he can be hanging around there.
Okay, that is the Breeders' Cup Classic. We're going to race through all the supporting races. We've got a game to play. Try and speed things up as well. We're going to play bet or bin the favorites, and then get the outsiders, the long shots that the guys want to go for as well. We'll get some insights into those races as well. This episode is powered by 1xBet, and just in time for the Breeders' Cup, if you bet 10 with 1xBet Ireland right now, you'll get €30 in free bets. Your weekend is sorted out. 1xBet.ie to find out more information. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Terms and conditions apply, as of course they always do in life. 1xbet.ie. You can see Ryan playing with that cash money. Hopefully you're going to be playing with cash money and lots of winnings as well from the genius of the boys.
Thanks for spending some time with us on the Final Furlong podcast. We're independent media, so if you like what we do, hit like, share, and subscribe. It's free, it's quick, and it genuinely helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more where that came from. Don't miss out. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major platforms, and join us on the gravy train. The Final Furlong podcast, independent, unfiltered, and powered by you.